This is insane. Skyrim officially has multiplayer. I've played it and I'm so excited to share my thoughts with you in today's video because everything about Skyrim Together Reborn, this mod, I thought would be a complete leap of faith. Oh, surely some things will fall apart. Surely it will be broken. Surely it won't function as the ideal online co-op Skyrim we all envisioned. But in fact, it does. And I'm here to walk you through not only the process of how I set it up and how easy it is, but also talk about my experience with it. So yes, there was this mod years ago called Skyrim Together, and it came around posing the idea of what if Skyrim was an online co-op game. Now, to me, that sounds pretty cool because while I love Elder Scrolls Online, the idea of experiencing a traditional single-player style Bethesda game with friends is something that we've been asking for 40 years, and they gave us Fallout 76 instead because, yeah, that's clearly what we were asking for. So Skyrim Together posed the idea of something that I think many of us in the community were looking for. However, when it came around, it had the ideas, but the execution wasn't quite there. That's understandable, right? This is a modder's project. It's going to take some time. So they went back to the drawing board, and now recently they have released Skyrim Together Reborn, which is a rehashing of the Skyrim Together mod, and as the name suggests, allows you to play Skyrim Together with your friends. So if you're new here, you're into Bethesda mods, Bethesda news, discussions, all that stuff, consider subscribing. And with that, let's talk about Skyrim Together Reborn. Before I get into my experience, I want to talk about the setup process because it's not just as simple as hopping on and inviting your friends when you activate the mod. You do have to set up an account over on a place called Log Me In Hamachi. Once you do that, you create your own server, you send your friends an IPv4 address, they copy that into the connect menu, you host the game itself by typing in localhost, and boom, you create a party, invite your friends, and that's it. You're off and questing together. It's literally that simple. And it's that simple because of a tutorial a YouTuber made, Galactic Fever. I'll have it linked in the description down below if you're interested in setting this up. It's a quick 7-minute tutorial, concise, to the point, made it really easy for someone like me who's not great with modding stuff. And I also just want to shout out Vortex. This is kind of the overhaul to the modding situation over at Nexus. It's my first time using it, and I really like the layout. I love the ease of use. I love how they identified for me what mods I didn't have to use the current mod I was interested in. So it made setting up things easier than it's ever been. So I really appreciate the quality of life enhancements there, even though there were some growing pains with the change in the service. So overall, your fear of setting things up, don't worry about it. Really, really, really easy. Let's talk about the more important part, getting into the game. So yeah, you invite friends to your party. When you invite them in, they don't take any damage from you. Now, let's say they are not in your party. You could actually do PvP if you wanted to. If you hosted a big enough server, you could do something like that, and you could get up to 8 people in your game. Now, they don't recommend that, but you could really load up a server and have some real chaotic Skyrim fun. For me, I think the biggest surprise with Skyrim Together Reborn is how it completely revitalized what Skyrim was. When I was playing it last night, going through all the beginning dungeons I'm familiar with, yes, I'm a content creator, so I have ran through Skyrim dozens of times. I have probably played Skyrim more than any other game I can think of because this was the building block for my YouTube channel here. Like, I did Skyrim rare weapon and armor guides. Like, I have combed through this map time in, time out. And yeah, there's a sense of familiarity there. But now with friends, it takes on a whole new life. And it gave me that special feeling like when the game first came out in 2011, there was this new mysticism to the game. Can we do this together? Can we do that? And suddenly, things like conjuration spells, healing ally spells, that type of stuff, again, took on a life of its own. It felt like other aspects of the game that I personally never used were actually really useful. And even crazier, you could get companions in this game still, so you could increase the size of your party. I played with a team of 3 people, but you could get other companions in and really have a squad going on a true adventure. In a lot of ways, this is what I envisioned Elder Scrolls Online being. Now, that's no disrespect to ESO. I actually think ESO is awesome. I've been a staunch defender of that game since they launched with Tamriel Unlimited. Even in its vanilla form, I was saying there's a lot of potential here, so don't think I'm one slandering ESO. I have always defended that game, but it feels like this is the true Bethesda co-op experience we've been looking for, and it works exactly as you'd hope to have it work. You have a party leader who manages all of the quests for your entire team. They'll do the conversating, they'll do the dialogue choices, but everyone can stand in and listen. Now, there are some occasional speed bumps where, for example, someone will come and speak to me when they're supposed to speak to the party leader. leader. So you do have to be careful in tighter cities like Whiterun, where a lot of conversations can be picked up randomly, like a courier speaking to you, and then they'll run and speak to another friend. You'll hear conversations repeating over and over. There are, again, some speed bumps, and I think that's just because of the nature of the way the game was built. You're going to have that happen. It is unfortunate, but it is what it is, and I think it's easy to work around. Otherwise, though, it's as simple as going around to dungeons, talking to people, completing quests, turning them in, and everyone gets rewards. One of the craziest things, though, that I love about this mod is the quality of life enhancements, if you will. They've completely changed the loot and the amount of it that you get. So you get way more gold, you get way more drops, and the reason you get that is because you're playing with more people. So they need to inflate that type of stuff so everyone can divvy up the loot. And instead of grinding one character to be god tier at everything, now for me, I'm the archer who's going to be focusing on blacksmithing. I have a friend who's going to be focusing on alchemy and conjuration. I have another friend who's going to be focusing on enchantments as well as being a battle mage. So we're all kind of doing our own thing in this world. And the ideas of future DLC from Skyrim, Hearthfire, re-exploring Dragonborn again feels so exciting, especially Hearthfire, right? Building a house together with a couple of buddies, decorating it with stuff we've acquired from our quests. That type of stuff is truly exciting. And it really got me thinking about what really spawned this Bethesda multiplayer push, which is Fallout 4 in a lot of ways, because Fallout 4 was very much a looter shooter, if you will. I use that in the lightest terms possible because a lot of its dungeons were just pointing and shooting, and I thought that was enjoyable for what it was. But my goodness, would it have felt great with a friend online? And they started to look into that as an expansion before making Fallout 76. So it feels like here with Skyrim Together Reborn, things have really come full circle. Another thing that I really like about this mod is by default, they start you off at the master difficulty level. This actually balances out really well, where normally when you're playing Skyrim on higher difficulties, it's like, okay, everyone's a sponge, I'm not. But because now everyone on your team isn't a sponge, but the enemy that you're fighting is, and you have 3 people, in my case, doing damage against them, it feels much better. It feels much more balanced. It feels really enjoyable that way. So for me, initiating a battle with a stealth attack with some weak poison potions, and then suddenly my friends come in with conjurations and all types of spells, it's so fun to coordinate dungeons in this game. And to my surprise, they fit us pretty well. I thought, just given the fact that this is a single player game and sometimes you have very narrow hallways in these dungeons, that this would be a problem, but it never really was. So for me, I was again continuously blown away while playing it on how well everything worked. Again, there were some other speed bumps I'd like to talk about. Every 30 minutes or so, I would crash the desktop. Now, here's why this didn't frustrate me, and it's something that I think is wonderful about this game. So when I crashed the desktop, because the server is being hosted through LogMeIn Hamachi, what happens is that everyone can keep playing and they can stay in a party even though I am personally out of the game because the server is still active. So my save file is localized, and then I can join back into my own server. They can make me party leader again. I can join the party with friends, and I won't lose any progress whatsoever. Not only that, but if your friends continue to adventure, you can bring up your party menu. You have a teleport option there, and you can click it, and it'll bring you to where your friends are instantly. So not only does it remove the frustration of finding your friends, because there aren't markers above their heads, it removes the frustration of that, but you're also not going to lose progress. There was one time where we had cleared a dungeon, we didn't do a quick save, I had DC'd, I lost an archery helmet, unfortunately. It did like 20% more damage with bows, which would have been really nasty early game. I lost that unfortunately because when I DC'd, I had not saved the game, so there is that worth considering. But again, loading it back up and getting what you need and getting back to where you needed to be is very easy. Also, you can use console commands. So right now this is PC only, and I imagine it will forever be PC only. I always get comments of like, do you think this mod's coming to console? This one, I'm sorry, I just can't see it. But what you can do is, for example, let's say I open a door. Sometimes the instances don't work right, where I opened a master door with my key I had in my pocket, but for my other friends, the door stayed locked. So what they did was instead of me dropping the key, they pick it up, unlock it, and then repeating that a couple of times, they actually used console commands to unlock the door. We did a toggle collision at one point to run around the top of Helgen just to see, like, can we do this? We spawned items. You can do everything that you could do in the single player version of Skyrim, you can do here in Skyrim Together Reborn. It truly is exactly what you thought it would be. And that's what's so incredible about it. I thought I was kind of done with Skyrim for a while, right? The Anniversary Edition came and went. I played a decent amount of it, put some hours into it, played the new content. I think, okay, that's probably it for a very long time. You know, I doubt Bethesda's going to re-release it. Famous last words, I know, but I doubt they're going to find a reason to re-release it again. So this should be it for many, many years. This mod rolls around, and I got that itch again. That Skyrim fever, like that desire to go and play, because the game genuinely feels different. And because so many of us, you're probably like me, have played this game for a decade now, you're likely very familiar with things where you don't have to dial in so hard. So this is a great game. I call it like a Discord call game, where you're in a Discord call with a bunch of friends. Everyone's talking, yelling, having a good time. And you're just playing a little Skyrim in the background, right? We don't need to dial in as deeply to the story, to the lore, all that stuff. We're kind of familiar with it all. So this is also just a cozy type of game that you can just kick your feet up at the end of a long day and play some Skyrim online with friends. On the note of other desync issues, I not only had this problem with like doors opening, but also sometimes enemies, where I would see my friends fighting an enemy that I personally did not see, or vice versa. This can be kind of annoying, only because the difficulty is so high and we're not of level to take these things out by ourselves. So when we all can't see them at once, one of us is going down. Fortunately, when you die, it doesn't game over for everyone. What happens is you drop and then you respawn somewhere else. And again, if you get lost, remember the teleport option I mentioned. That's all it takes. And it works really well. Now, there was one time where a friend died in a dungeon and he got kicked all the way to the beginning. But again, teleport option is there. So there's a lot of safety nets here put into place for if the game sort of fails you, if the mod fails you, there is an answer every step of the way. Again, I cannot emphasize enough how easy this was to set up, how impressive it was that it was easy to set up. And not only that, but the download files are very small. The biggest thing you're going to download is actually having Skyrim, the video game. Now, this is a little PSA warning, and this is in the tutorial that I linked at the beginning of this video, but keep in mind, this is for Skyrim Special Edition. Right now, this is not for the Anniversary Edition. Now, you can go into your Anniversary Edition over on Steam, for example, and disable the Anniversary Edition DLC, so that you could download it as if it is Skyrim Special Edition and set up the mod that way. But otherwise, these files you're going to be getting over on Nexus are like 100 megabytes tops, and that's it. And setting up the folders and everything, it's so disgustingly easy. It made me so happy because it's accessible. And there's a reason why the mod has over 50,000 downloads now already, because it's that easy to get together and play. So I highly encourage, get this mod rolling, give it a shot if you have it on PC. Another thing worth mentioning is the game runs in real time when you're in menu. So when you're leveling up, when you're going through your inventory, the game is still running in the background. This does make combat oddly a little more intense because of the amount of times I've leaned into using the favorites menu to pause the action, calmly find my healing potions, no worries there whatsoever. So you have to keep things a little more organized. You have to be a little bit more focused when in battle because the difficulty is so high. And I kind of liked it. It felt like the world was constantly moving. Not only that, but you can't wait, you can't sleep, so time passes very naturally. So when we went to turn in our quest at Riverwood to start off the game, we couldn't. We had 8 hours of in-game time to burn. So we decided, well, let's go to Bleak Falls Barrow, clear that out, get ahead of the game a little bit more, and then come back and turn that in when it's daytime, and it worked exactly like that. So there is an immersive factor here as well. And this is why in an upcoming video, yes, we're producing our Why You Need to Play Skyrim in 2022 video, the first thing I talk about is modding. Modding is such a game changer for Bethesda. And it's just such a crazy moment where I remember so vividly the first time I got Skyrim. It was at this play-and trade locally, and this play-and trade had been shut down because they were selling games ahead of launch and they got taxed for it. So the money was so much that they just had to close down their business, which is just a hilarious story unto its own. But I remember getting Skyrim from there and playing this game day in, day out during my junior year of high school and thinking there's nothing quite like this. And it wasn't until Elden Ring came around that I felt that feeling again. And to think that when I look at Skyrim and what it did to the industry, and when I first played it, transporting myself back to that point in time and then doing that with friends, it's like I could never have imagined this is the type of road Skyrim would take, right? The multiple re-releases, the DLC, the Anniversary Edition, all that stuff, and then multiplayer. It's crazy what the modding community has done for this game, and it's so exciting for the future of games like Starfield, for past games like Fallout 4 and what we could do with that. Just so much to be tremendously excited about. But again, can't say enough positive things about my experience with Skyrim Together Reborn. My only complaint is the occasional crashes, but my PC's getting on in age, and quite honestly, I was recording gameplay at the same time as playing the games, hosting the server and stuff, so things could have got messed up on my end. But again, getting back into your game, relatively easy. So I'm loving this mod. Huge fan of what they've done here. I'll have all you need linked down below. After watching this video, you're like, I'm on board. The tutorial will be there. The mod links will be there. Go ahead, check it out. I promise you, as someone who is, again, not an expert at setting up modding files and not breaking the game, by the way. Y'all have seen like the HUD in my New Vegas gameplay, right? It's like all distorted. Look, yeah, I'm not that great at this type of stuff, but they're making it easier, and this mod is one of the most accessible ones for the features it offers. It's excellent. So give it a look. Have you played Skyrim Together Reborn? Let me know in the comments down below. Other than that, be sure to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the hell out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.